to the funniest thing. In a minute here, we're going to have everything dialed in and we're going to start the show. But if you're watching on YouTube, you're hearing us live early because that's part of our setup. To the funniest thing, the funniest thing. Okay. All right. Are you ready?
I guess so.
Okay. You know how to use them. You're live. So do you know how to use the mute?
Yes.
Okay, mute the audio. Perfect. All right. Welcome to the funniest thing, where each week we share stories about how stepping out boldly always leads to better than expected outcomes. I'm Daryl, and Ed is on a vacation. So today it's going to be myself, and we're bringing back a guest, Stephen Tom Thorpe, to join us for today's topic, which is Imagination is Prayer, with our guest, Stephen Tom Thorpe. Einstein makes it clear, imagination is everything. It is the preview of life's coming attractions. Think about that. Imagination is prayer and intuition is guidance. You cannot accomplish anything you cannot see yourself accomplishing. Used creatively, your imagination can change your life. What you are today and what you have in your life today is the result of what you have imagined in the past. In biblical terms, imagination is described as spiritual vision. Your imagination is powerful. On this episode, we will be sharing examples of how to use your imagination to achieve your goals and create the life you desire. Actor Stephen Tom Thorpe highlights his experience with the use of imagination as prayer, as well as following the breadcrumbs of intuition. And today's reading is Enthusiasm. So, before we really get going, there's few people I want to thank, and that's the few people or many people who are listening, as well as watching on YouTube, and especially those who join us through Patreon. Because of your contributions to the show, we are able to keep this show commercial free. That's right. And we really appreciate it. A lot goes into make the show, and we appreciate all your contributions. Also, if you would like to mail us a card or send us a contribution, you can do that by regular U.S. Postal Service to Funniest Thing, P.O. Box 1312, Culver City, California 90232. And we actually received a card from a friend of ours, the regular card. We have two regular card contributors, Lois Conklin and Kirk Kelson. And Kirk sends these from Germany. And I'll tell you what the front says. If you're listening on any of the audio apps, you can always tune in or check us out on YouTube at Daryl and Ed with Funniest Thing on YouTube, or you can just go to our website and find all the links there, darylanded.com. So on the front of this postcard is a picture of a rooster, crudely drawn, and it says, "I am amazing. I will show you how amazing I am, but not now. For now, I will just tell you how amazing I am." And you know, on previous shows, we talked about the great advice I got from my mentor, Mike Dugan, years ago. When it comes to doing anything, it's best to keep it quiet and show them. Don't tell them, because otherwise we well, at least I know for myself, I would expend all that energy which is like having steam in the locomotive, telling everybody all the great things I was going to do. And then when it came time to actually doing those things, all the enthusiasm was gone from within. And the seductive thing about telling people what you're going to do instead of just actually going out and doing it is you get a weird, twisted little high just from telling people your great idea about what you're going to do. And it's not the best recipe for success at all. So anyway, that's what this little joke is on the front of the postcard. And if you're on YouTube, you could see it. And let's see what the back says, shall we? Pay no attention to the dire reports of those who say what you want is not out there or cannot be done. Prophets of woe have fallen under the hypnosis of deficiency. That goes a lot with today's show, especially that line from the opening. You can only accomplish the thing you can see yourself accomplishing. Don't be a prophet of woe. Be a prophet of whoa. Get it, folks? Don't be a prophet of woe, W-O-E. Be a prophet of whoa, W-H-O-A, exclamation point. Change your thinking, change your world. So that's from Kirk. Thank you very much. I'd also like to thank the audio engineer who's been with the show since the beginning when we were at Unity Online Radio in Lee's Summit, Missouri, at Unity Village. His name is Jeff Comfort, and I'm going to have to sing this one solo, folks. Every week, he takes us right into the comfort zone. And he's the one who just added that sound effect that if you're listening to the audio version of the show, you heard. So we have Stephen Tom Thorpe with us. And I think we're going to start with the 3 breaths, shall we, Steve? Now you could unmute yourself.
Unmuted.
So we have 3 breaths today. And we have a lot to talk about the power of your imagination, you listeners, and how crucial it is to use our imagination constructively. And when we do that, even if we're working on something that was fueled by our imagination to begin with, it could be anything. That book you're writing, it could be a postcard you're making for somebody. It could be a painting. It could be anything creative that you desire to do. You can't succeed at it without imagining yourself succeeding at it in your mind first. And that's where the enthusiasm comes from. And that's why we can equate imagination with prayer, because enthusiasm means being possessed by God. That's one of the definitions. Or infused with spirit is another. So when we're imagining ourselves accomplishing the thing it is we desire to do, we tend to become enthusiastic about it. And that's when the temptation comes to talk about it rather than to start implementing it by taking the little steps forward. And that being said, sometimes throughout the process, we start to lose our enthusiasm. Anything can happen that can cause me to lose my enthusiasm. And I've come to the conclusion that I don't need to figure out what those things are that cause me to lose my enthusiasm so much as the great fact that I can always renew my enthusiasm to complete the project, even if it has sat for a while. And one of the ways we do that is with affirmations. And this is a very simple affirmation. So I'll say it first, and then Stephen will say it second. We're going to do it as 3 breaths. And I'm not sure if we could do it together, because I think with Zoom, it kind of like cancels each other out. Because Ed and I tried singing a song last week, and I don't know what happened. So I'll do it once, then Steve will do it once, and you folks at home can do it. Jot it down, write it down. You know, this show isn't just about hearing positive things to tickle your ears. I mean, it is, but write this stuff down. This is like a mini workshop every week for us as well. I mean, doing this show gets me focused on all the things that work, and it motivates me to apply them. All right, so the 3 breaths are, and I'm going to say them, then I'm going to do them, and then Steve's going to do them, okay? So just so you know, it's I do what I love, and I do it with enthusiasm, okay? So take a deep breath. Let it go. All right. I do what I love, and I do it with enthusiasm.
I do what I love, and I do it with enthusiasm.
Yeah. And even if you don't believe it in the moment, the great thing about affirmations is your mind will eventually click over, even if it's not immediately after saying the affirmations. It's almost like taking, sometimes for me, they have those different medications that, you know, it's like a delayed release. Or if any medication, I mean, it takes Excedrin about 15 minutes to kick in and get rid of my headache when I have one. Well, don't get impatient with your affirmations. Say your affirmations, and then know that you planted the seed in your subconscious. And I can guarantee sometime soon throughout that day, all of a sudden, you're going to have an inspired idea about that project that you thought you lost all your enthusiasm for. If it's something that you really desire to do, because there's some projects that we have a desire to do, and that's why I jot them down, and I don't beat myself up anymore for not jumping to do certain projects or inspired ideas immediately, because sometimes they're just a blip on the radar. I picked up on an idea that wasn't really right for me, although it was a fun idea to contemplate. It didn't mean I'm necessarily the person to be the one executing it. But if I am, it will keep returning. If you have a desire and you're not sure, and if it is the desire for you, I'll tell you how you can tell. It'll keep coming up until you eventually take action. So before we get into the conversation, I just want to read a few things real quick from the books we have that go along with this topic. It's funny, just like this episode, I had the idea for the title at the beginning of the week. Imagination is prayer, and intuition is guidance. Or you could say divine guidance, or you can say God, or as Florence Scovel Shinn puts it, prayer. You know, we're always imagining when we're saying our prayers, we're always imagining the thing it is we would like to occur or to have or to transform, whatever it is. So that's telephoning God. This is Florence Scovel Shinn's words. And intuition is God telephoning us. So I like the idea that imagination is prayer and intuition is guidance, because we don't need to worry about how we're going to execute or complete or accomplish the thing it is we desire to do. We just need to imagine us successfully in that arena, or having gone through that transformation, or having accomplished that thing now. And don't worry about the how. So, first off, we got something here. And, what I was going to say is I had the idea for the title, and we weren't sure if Ed was going to make it today. And then he wanted to enjoy a little vacation time. And then I wasn't sure, am I going to do it by myself? And I put feelers out there before we knew Ed was going to take a break, or Ed decided to take a break. And none of the people respond. Well, they responded, but they were unable to do the show. So I kind of didn't move forward with the description. And it wasn't until last night that Steven stepped in, our guest today. And last night I felt like I better write the description tonight, get it to Steven. But Steven was busy working anyway. So I put it off, and I almost felt like a bad boy for putting it off. But something told me, you're going to be able, this thing's going to come to you in the morning. And that's another thing. When you imagine the thing it is you desire, and you're having inspired ideas on how to proceed, but there's points where you feel like nothing is happening, ask within yourself, or you could say, like Catherine Ponder says, ask divine intelligence to show you the next step toward attaining your desired picture of good. And here's the thing, you will get a response. And as you're shown the next step, well, then you got to boldly follow it in faith, knowing that it can lead only to richer satisfaction, as she puts it, or I'll say to the completion of the desired task. So what happens? Of course, I wake up this morning, and this isn't like, I knew it, it's me. No, of course, this stuff never fails. As Reverend Ike used to say, you can't lose with the stuff I use. And because I knew then Steven was going to do the show. So my enthusiasm resurfaced. I did not feel inspired to write the description last night, but something told me that's okay. I got up super early for some reason, and all the readings fell into place. I mean, it was incredible. It was incredible. So right off the top, the first reading is from a book called Around a Year with Emmett Fox. And this is not actually today's readings, folks. It's not today's reading, but it's on the facing page of today's reading. And the right-hand page is always the page you kind of default to. Just so you know, in publishing, magazines and newspapers, the highest priced page for advertising is the right-hand page. And if you're only buying a piece or a small portion of the page instead of a full page ad, the highest price on the right-hand page of a publication is the bottom right-hand corner. So, because it's where our eyes, because we read right to left, naturally fall there. So my eyes naturally fell on this. And it says the hidden studio, and that's what we're talking about. We are all engaged in building our consciousness during every waking hour. The work is invisible, silent, and consequently overlooked by the bulk of mankind. Nevertheless, it is the most fundamental and the most far reaching activity in life. Hour by hour and moment by moment, we are building good or evil, failure or success, happiness or suffering into our life by the ideas that we harbor, the beliefs that we accept, the scenes and events that we rehearse in the hidden studio of the mind. This fateful edifice, upon the construction of which we are perpetually engaged, is nothing less than ourself, our personality, our identity on this earth, our very life story as a human being. That wondrous building, the spiritual consciousness, is called in the Bible the Temple of Solomon, and we are told two wonderful things about that building. It was built without any noise, and we know that thought is soundless, and it was built upon a rock. So, the esoteric meaning of the building of the temple, and isn't it funny how the part of our head that is on either side of the brain that's surrounding the head they're called the temple, the temples of our mind, the temple of our head. And that's where all this building goes on. And then on this page, I wrote this. This is another thing why we like our morning routine books to actually be paper books. If you do a morning routine, we highly recommend you read from paper books, primarily because trying to do your morning routine off your phone or tablet can be very distracting because you'll get a text, a page, or you'll go, I could just take a little peek at my emails now. And that's not the time for that. This is the time for building up our mentality, getting it into the vibration of the positive stream of life with the higher ideas, so that when we do look at our email, if there's something that previously, prior to our morning routine, would have given us a fright, when we see it after the morning routine, when we're in that higher state of consciousness, it does not seem like a big deal. So another reason why we like the paper books, I'm holding this up for the folks on YouTube, is you can write things in there that inspire you, maybe that you saw somewhere else, or it could be an idea that came to your mind. And this I wrote to myself in 2021. And it says this: whatever I picture in my mind will go to work to accomplish. When I change my pictures, I automatically change my performance. And that's from John L. Mason. It's in a book, Believe You Can. If you have that book, it's on page 19. And I just have a few more things here. One, and then we'll hear from Stephen. One is a favorite we highly recommend, Ed and I both. I've been reading Florence Scovel Shinn's books since 1986. They never get old. And I'm rereading at my nightstand The Power of the Spoken Word by Florence Scovel Shinn. They're so good. They're so simple and they're so good. And this is from The Power of the Spoken Word. It goes with today's show. So I'm going to read a little bit from this and then a little bit from one other book. And this says, it's in Nothing Be Anxious is the chapter. And it says, when we ask for guidance and lay aside the reasoning mind, we are tapping the universal supply of all knowledge. Anything necessary for you to know will be revealed to you. And here's the quote: prayer is telephoning to God, and intuition is God telephoning you. Many people have a busy wire when God telephones and they don't get the message. Your wire is busy when you are discouraged, things aren't happening the way I want them to. My life isn't great. Angry? Well, he's getting all the breaks and I don't. You're lucky. Or resentful. I can't believe they did that. That's the only thing that gets in the way of our intuition. Think about that. Discouraged or self-pity is another word for discouraged. Angry, frustrated because things aren't happening fast enough or the way that we think they should. That's angry. Resentful. Well, that's envy, jealousy. Just if we could just eliminate those things, and I'm getting better at eliminating them quicker, they're going to come up, but I don't want to miss out on this stuff. And here we go. This is just a few pages after that. Jesus Christ taught man to harness and direct thought, and that's what today's episode is all about. He knew that fear was as dangerous as uncontrolled electrical forces. Words and thoughts must be handled with wisdom and understanding. The imagination is man's workshop, and an imagination running wild and building up fear pictures is just about as safe as riding a bucking bronco. I knew Steve would like that. He's got his cowboy hat on for those listening at home. And finally, this is from the last book we're going to read from, and this is Creative Responsibility. This is a hard-to-find book, but if you could find it online, I say get it ASAP. It's called Creative Responsibility by C. Thomas Sicking. And there's a chapter on using creative tools. One of the creative tools, folks, is imagination. And he says, one of the most powerful facets of your mind is your ability to imagine things. Used creatively, your imagination can change your life. What you are today and what you have in your life is the result of what you have imagined previously. Your imagination is powerful. Use it creatively to build the life you want your life to be. And here's a simple recipe on how to do that. And I learned this early on in 1986 when I was in the military. They had us do this exercise. They had us do it once, and then we were recommended to do it like it says here. And it says, set aside 15 or 20 minutes 2 times each day to imagine consciously what you want. I say it's not really necessary to be strict with when you do it in your day or it having to be 2 times, twice a day. Because once you get in the habit of imagining what you desire, it feels so good, you'll want to do it most of the time. And it says, set aside 15 or 20 minutes 2 times each day to imagine consciously what you want. In the beginning, stay with 1 or 2 specific goals that you believe are attainable. Vividly imagine yourself achieving the goal. Do not get involved with the how to. We don't have to worry about how. We just have to enjoy seeing the results in our mind that we desire. I mean, what could be more fun than that? It's so much. How would you want to refuse this exercise? It's leaving out the part that gives us the headache, the how to, because that part gives us a headache for a reason. It's not my job to figure out the how to. It's my job to see clearly my desire that was inspired from within in my own mind, delight in that, and then I will be inspired, and the breadcrumbs will appear as what to do next. And it finally wraps it up with center your imagination on the completed goal and how you would benefit and be involved with the end product. I'm going to give a little simple example here because it does give one, and you might need this if you've never done this before. If it is a new car that you desire, then in your imagination, see the car you want. Get in and start the engine. Feel the upholstery, smell that new car odor. In short, experience having the car in your imagination. The more detailed and involved you can get in your imagination, the more effectively you will attain the goal. God gave you your imagination, and it is yours to help you have what you want in life. Use it consciously, and use it creatively for your good. I've used it more for completing goals and transforming my character than I've had for specific things. When it's come to needs like that, I do imagine with faith that they will work out. The right car will show up at the right price at the right time. But for things like that, I use my God box, and we've talked about the God box. I don't know how to bring it about, how to get the best deal, or I'm not even really clear on what type of car or what the house is that we wanted to move into when we moved here. But using the God box to turn it over, then God, or you can call it intuition, starts feeding me images of what the perfect thing would be. So now we're going to bring on Steve, our guest, to share with us his experience with all of this. Steve, how are you doing? What do you think about all this?
It's very exciting. I really loved how you explained everything right now and gave and read from all the readings. It's so it's so encouraging and inspiring, and it really helps my belief to really hear from all these different authors talking about the same thing. And so it basically helps me to believe it's true because, when I first met you, uh, I took a look at your life and how joyful you were and how happy you were and the amazing things that was happening that I was like, I want to do what this guy does. So I started following you around and I started doing what you do and writing these things down. And at first it was like, this stuff is just silly. Like, does this really work? Me sitting down and imagining, my life and imagining what I want and envisioning what I want. At first it didn't feel, even sometimes now, I can catch myself going, this isn't doing anything. And I got to pick myself up and go, no, I'm training my mind. I'm training my subconscious. I'm envisioning my future. Like that Albert Einstein quote, it's the preview of life's coming attractions. I'm determining my life's coming attractions with my imagination. So I would start to do it, and like even like the journal. Like today, I was excited to share. Like this is today. Did I do the mirror thing that you did? No. Okay. But it's September 27th, Saturday. One of the readings said, I feel the presence, I think it was the daily word. I feel the presence of divine guidance as I move in the direction of my success. And it's just like, I remember you would show me what you did with your journal, and you would just have like the simplest little things, like floss or go pick up dry cleaning.
You mean
And
in
that
my
would be
to-do list?
along with,
You're talking about my to-do list.
yes, your to-do list.
Yeah.
And it's like I would see you do that, and I would see you cross things off, and I would be like, that looks fun, that looks exciting. And he would tell me, like, Stephen, this is what I do, and this is how things happen in my life. And you would explain to me everything that you just shared, you know, about imagination, what I'm envisioning, and how this really helps, especially, in the morning routine. I'm so grateful I committed to that, whatever it was 7 years ago when you shared that with me. And it really makes perfect sense. That time I have alone with God, I feel like I can really connect and really take the time to, especially reading those, like, I read from around the year every day. Um,
Around
And
the year with
reading
Emmett
those,
Fox.
thank you, Around a Year with Emmett Fox. I read from that every day. And readings like that, I read from multiple little one-page readers, daily readers. And I feel like they really do get me in tune with, that positive stream of life and reflecting on my life, what it's been. I get to connect the dots, which is where I get to see all the events, all the decisions and choices that I've made and commitments that I've made in my life. I get to see how my commitment to them, or to me taking action or taking an inspired idea, like you said, or envisioning myself accomplishing something, and then I accomplish it, how that was a dot that connected to the next thing and to the next thing, and where I am today. And like an example would be like the Hollywood Minutes. You encouraged me when I met you. I told you I just graduated from acting school, and you said, okay, you want to be an actor? Let's there's you had this idea to do these little short little videos on the movie making Hollywood history and the movie making location history in Culver City. Culver City is chock full of locations that were used in TV shows and movies, and you enlightened me to that fact. And you said we could do these little short little videos. It's like you're a host, keep it to under a minute, and call it Hollywood Minutes. And at first, I was really afraid to do it. And you encouraged me to do it. Come on, you want to be an actor? Let's do this. You got to do it. You can't just wait to get cast into something, and you're out of school, so you're not acting. And if this is something you love to do, this is a perfect opportunity for you to love what you do. And so I had to envision myself. I had to imagine myself doing it and accomplishing it. And that led to us creating this channel and making, I think it's like 35 videos so far. And
The one
that
with the
really was
wait, wait, you gotta let the audience know what you're not. What Steven's talking about is not the show channel. He's talking about the Hollywood Minutes became a YouTube channel that you can watch, where
Oh, thank you.
Steven takes you through the movie location history of Culver City. And for those of you who've never heard of Culver City, like most people, this is actually where Hollywood movies were made. That's funniest thing. That's the city's motto. And this is where the film industry began. This is MGM Studios is here and was here, RKO Studios, Pathé Studios, Desilu Studios, now Amazon Studios, and Apple Studios are here. Columbia Pictures is here. So it's like the best kept secret in the entertainment business. Let them all go visit Hollywood, and Culver City remains this charming little town. It really is like Mayberry RFD with the Andy Griffith Show, which was also filmed here in Culver City. So that's what the channel Steven's talking about.
Thank you. Yes. And so that doing those videos was instrumental in giving me the confidence to actually continue on with my passion and to continue moving forward, so that I wouldn't have been as confident to have joined the next thing on my path, which was joining an improv school in Burbank. And that was another thing. And so it's like every time I was presented with an opportunity to move forward with my passion, it's scary. I always come up with all these reasons why I can't do it. And I fall into like discouragement, or it's too hard, or I can't even fathom of it. But that's where I got to rely on my imagination and seeing myself do it, and seeing like the impossible become possible, and then taking action and just going for it, just going for it. And so that's what led to the next thing, is improv. And I was at that school for 2.5 years. And again, like it's not like you said earlier, it's not me. I mean, I'm making these choices and decisions, but it's like every morning I'm affirming my strength and divine wisdom and divine guidance and courage and strength, and calling on this power that's I'm reading about in these books that's inside of me, that if I choose to try to connect with it, it will help me.
Well, the main thing
It
is
will help move.
were you having fun those 2 years?
Oh yeah. I'm so glad I did it. I can't believe like I remember the day you're like, "Hey, look at this. This is an improv school. You should do it." And I was like, I already went to school. I don't know. I don't think so. I made all these excuses not to do it. And they're like, "Come on." And he just gave me the push to do it. I probably wouldn't have done it if you just weren't like, "Just do it. Here, come on, just do it. How hard could it be? How bad could it be?" And then that ended up being another crazy fun 2.5 years where I got the experience and the know-how, and um, basically like all that experience of doing the improv like every week and every other week having a show and a performance and performing in front of a live audience and having that opportunity gave me the courage and the confidence in myself and in the God in me that I think led to me getting an agent finally. So now that's where it's like that was presented to me as well. The universe kind of orchestrated and conspired in my favor to where out of left field, I'm presented with an agent without me having to force or try to figure out how is that gonna happen? That's another thing with the how. I think I put that in my God box. It's like I think I remember talking to you and you said put that in that God put that in your God box. Say you want, you want to be represented. This I forget exactly what I put it in the God box, but I remember putting it in there. And then don't worry about the how. And every time I would remember, oh, you still don't have an agent. You still don't have an agent. I gotta go, nope, I put that in my God box. God is on it. God's working on it. I don't have to worry about the how. All I gotta do is just focus on having fun and using my imagination creatively
Well,
and
if you're
doing the what's.
Well, if you're focused, when I just know when I'm focused on doing what it is that brings me the joy, and here's the crazy part, a lot of times I got to push myself to do the thing that brings me the most joy. The crazy thing is, you might find out the thing you love to do the most, you tend to have the most resistance in doing. And you got to kind of take take the burden off it by, well, at least I do for myself, by telling myself I'm allowed to be bad at it. I could just draw something bad, or, I don't have to be perfect. There's a great quote. I thought it was going to be unrelated for today's show, but it goes perfectly because this is the attitude you have to take. You had your intention. You've imagined the thing it is that you really love doing and you want to do more of it and you'd love to be well compensated for it. But in the meantime, if it's something you love to do and you don't do it unless you're being monetarily compensated for it, well, chances are you're never going to be doing it nor being well compensated for it. The thing is to actively do the thing it is that you love to do with what you have available to you in the moment. Like that's why I recommend to Steve. We could do short videos with our phone now. It's 2020 or whatever it was. I mean, this is not difficult like it was even 10 years prior. So it was something easy. We already had all the equipment, a phone, and the access to distribute it, YouTube, for free. So there was no excuse. And in the process of doing that, it attracts the next thing. That's the magnetic part. So, anyway, the quote is this: to get the heat off so you can do the thing, because we're talking about imagination, but now we're leaning into doing the thing you love to do, and to be well compensated for the thing you love to do. And here's the thing I found: if you're doing the thing you love to do You will be well compensated. It may not come directly from the avenue where you think it ought to, meaning a direct return for doing the thing that you're doing that you love to do. But you will be compensated because the channels are infinite of where your needs will be met and how they will be met. The thing is to do the thing you love to do enthusiastically because that's the gift that you have that would benefit others. So here's the quote to get the pressure off, and it's by Gore Vidal. And I just saw this quote this morning. I thought it was superb for me to remember to use on my brain. And it is this: style is knowing who you are, what you want to say, and not giving a damn. Style is knowing who you are, what you want to say, and not giving a damn. What a relief. I don't have to be perfect. I just have to do the thing I desire to do. And I think that all that joy is what attracts things like the agent. It's the joyful act of expressing ourselves, however that is. And it does not have to be, you don't have to be an actor, but whatever it is it writing? Is it drawing? Is it cooking? Is it taking care of others? I mean, creativity is not limited to what we think creativity is limited to. Creativity is the use of our mind, our intelligence, to make whatever it is that we're doing, improve it, to improve it. That's creativity. And we're divinely inspired whenever we set out to do that. Organizing your bookshelf. I mean, it's the last thing I want to do. But once I start doing it, all of a sudden I start feeling good about it. And I think that's what brings in the next breadcrumb. What do you think, Steve?
Yes, definitely. And I think one thing, and you brought this up earlier, that's something that is, can take up all of my time, is the creative work of improving myself, my character, like you brought up earlier. That's been something that's been at the forefront of my list, with just becoming a better person, becoming more generous, becoming more giving, becoming person that if you're a person if I go into your presence, I hope to leave you feeling good about our interaction, feeling good about themselves. And it's not just like, I hope they like me. I hope I made a good impression. No, it's like, I want to have this effect that is just goodwill to everybody. And, because I could see how little things that I don't even think that I say and do, I see now because of the morning practice, because now this has become a working part of my mind by doing the reading in the morning, reflecting, praying, meditating, and then at night doing the same thing, reading like you've been reading The Power of the Spoken Word. I'm reading what's it called, by Marianne Williamson. What's the book? I just been reading it. I don't look at the cover. You gave it to me A Return to Love. I've been reading A Return to Love, 2 pages a night. And it's like doing those things, my the meat of my day, the middle of the day, I get better, like you said, better and better at noticing, becoming more and more aware of my actions and what I am thinking and what is coming into my life. And so I get to see how I can be detrimental to some people. I could be detrimental and be a nuisance. I could be damaging. I don't want to be damaging anymore. I want to be better. I want to be uplifting. I want to encourage. And that's another thing too that I thought of when you were reading from the readings today before I jumped on, was the power of using my imagination not only for my good and but for others' good. Imagining you happy, doing what you love to do, imagining Ed happy, doing what he loves to do, my family members, my, acquaintances. It could be as fun as like somebody who I just met at the supermarket and we had a great interaction. And I'll just like be driving home and I'll take the time to like, they'll tell me something and I'll envision what they wanted. And it feels so good. And it feels, really good to believe that I am making a difference in the world through my inspired creative thinking.
Well, that's the real power of prayer. That's actually the proper description of prayer, because prayer has gotten so, the idea or the connotation of prayer has gotten so jarbled with, ritual and dogma and, begging and all these different things. And it's that's the thing that, Jesus brought to the table was no, 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 no. Ask and you will receive. Believe the best for yourself and others. See it happening. Believe you've already received it. This is not new stuff, folks. Although you could read it in many new books. I mean, most all self-help books, even psychology books, and even books that have nothing to do with self-help, self-image, or psychology or religion, even business books or sports especially will say use the technique of imagining the successful outcome. Athletes use it all the time, imagining themselves successfully playing in a meditative state. Well, like that's a big part of their practice. I mean, now, more often than not, all the professional athletes will tell you, pretty much unanimously, I should say, yes, we practice that power of constructive or creative imagination all the time, which is just another form of prayer. Yeah, to do anything with the intention of getting approval short circuits my whole thing. It's everything. I mean, I even wrote a little quote from myself because it's first of all, that's going to put all the pressure on doing it for approval, whatever it is. You got to do it for yourself. Everything is for an audience of one. You're the audience. When I'm drawing things or writing things, I got to remind myself all the time, Daryl, this is for you. What do you want it to say for you? If you read this 6 months from now, so you're inspired by it. Don't think I should put this in here or leave this out because of what others might think. Goes back to Gore Vidal. Style is knowing who you are, what you want to say, and not giving a damn. So my little slogan for myself is, the intention to get approval does not a success maketh, because it sounds Shakespearean. And I just want to say the little story in the beginning, my very first experience with this, because I had no idea. I had no idea that my imagination created my reality. Although it was, I had no idea that it was. I mean, in hindsight, once I learned all this, and I really learned it at a special training. This was the weirdest thing that happened. Well, a lot of weird things happened. It's, when the student is ready, everything changes. Like, not only does the teacher appear, I mean, everything comes flying in. So I had gone through a military rehabilitation center facility. That's the one I went through with Jeff Spikes that we mentioned a lot on the show, where they were teaching all the stuff that we share on the show. And it seems so ironic that, the military was sharing things like this, the power of love, the power of faith, confidence, using your imagination to some extent. However, a few months after that, I got orders, another set of orders to a workshop seminar. And I was like, what? I don't even know who signed me up for this in my military, in my unit. Made no sense because I was already detached from the Coast Guard pretty much. I mean, they were keeping tabs on me, but I was in a special unit, joint service unit, and it was under the Army. So really, my immediate report, my direct report was Air Force, and then my commanding officer, I was under the Army. So I get these orders sent to that base, Fort DeRussy in Waikiki Beach, where I was stationed with this team. And it was for this workshop seminar at the Hyatt Hotel in Waikiki for a whole weekend. And it was where they taught us this imagination technique and visualization, they would call it. And they said, pick something you would like to accomplish within the next 2 years. So at that time, I started drawing again. I really started doing artwork again, and just started. I shouldn't say really started. I mean, I just started doing it again in my spare time since leaving art school. And I thought, man, it'd be great to have a exhibition of my work. And I was thinking sometime in the distant future, and they told us how to do it. They said, imagine yourself, whatever it is, imagine yourself in the experience of actually having had that. So I'm imagining myself, and it was such a vivid imagination. I could still see it today. And this is how they all should be for you. Whatever it is, you just close your eyes, you put on some, they put on some that meditative music, and the lady just kind of guided us through. It was like a guided meditation. Now imagine what it is you desire. And I'm imagining I'm in this gallery exhibition hall or whatever, and it's big pieces of art that I had done. I don't even know what they were yet. They haven't even been created yet. I wasn't even at the stage of Stephen really of even making anything super concrete like he was with the YouTube videos on the Hollywood Minutes. But I just went with it. And then it said, now imagine a friend of yours. And the only really friend I had at that moment was a guy named Rick Fafautis. And he was in the Coast Guard. He was outranked me by quite a bit. But for some reason, he chose me as a friend, even though I was crashing and burning at that time in my life. But to him, he represented a good friend because of that. And he was in my corner as I was now moving up and out of where I had been. So I imagine Rick was there and he was congratulating me on it. I was like blown away by it all in this meditation. And then the meditation comes to a conclusion. And they remind us, don't worry about how, don't try to whip yourself into doing it. Because this obviously is something that's already in you. This desire, like Emily Cady says, desire is actually God knocking on the door of your spirit saying, this is already for you and it's already on its way to you. You just have to accept it. So what happened? Well, I don't know how this happened, but just the series of unrelated, continuing to draw. I even kind of forgot about this visualization I had. I ended up in a show of cartoonists in Honolulu. And I didn't even really have any real published cartoons. And looking back at it now, it's kind of, on my part, I was all over the place because I had cartoons from different things that I had done. It really didn't look like one style. But I'm not going to give myself too much of a hard time because it was the first time ever exhibiting. And I was with the guy who, God, he did this big hot comic at the time. Then there was the guy from the Honolulu Star Bulletin, an advertiser. Dave Thorne was in it. He was the one who invited us into the show, myself and some other people who had been students of his. And I was like, how's this stuff happen? Then a few years after that, I was out of the service. And this is when the visualization was 100%. I had slithered out the back door of the first college I went to, and I was able to go there absolutely free. It was paid for, and not by my parents, but because of what I was doing at the time creatively, I was able to go for free. But I was overwhelmed and I withdrew, and that's when I joined the military. Well, wouldn't you know it? After getting out of the service, getting accepted to it. Now, this is what I mean. You don't know how it's going to happen. I'm just doing like Steven, just going along with my life, pursuing the thing I love to do and doing it. And I'm doing it more and more and more and more every opportunity. And I ended up going to an art school back east. The first thing that happens is I end up getting an award from the New Jersey Art Directors Club, and they invite me as an honorary member. And then one of the people there happened to be a professor at a local university. And she asked me, I would love for you to give a talk to the students. Guess where it was? At that school that I, withered out of. Then 6 months later, there's a curator putting together a big show. It was a show of all the up and coming artists under 40 years old who were either had been born in New Jersey or they had their studios in New Jersey. And I was living in New York City at the time. They got a hold of me. And it went in the big gallery at William Patterson University, the same school again, in the Ben Shahn gallery. This Ben Shahn is like one of my favorite artists and illustrators from, just prior to mid-century and after a little bit for a while after. You can look them up. And giant paintings of mine are in the gallery, and I'm standing there next to it, exactly like the visualization I had. Like, how the hell did this happen? Instead of Rick with me, it was Lori with me. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible how this happens. This is no joke, folks. This stuff works, and it works on little things too. This past week, I've been finishing up the book on the Great Seal, the symbolism of the Great Seal. It's the symbolic guide to happy and successful living is the book. And, I was chugging along a little bit here, a little bit there. And yesterday I came to a screeching halt at one portion of the book. And part of me wanted to push through. And I said, no, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to turn this over. And this is exactly what we're talking about. When you get stuck, ask for divine intelligence to show you the next step. So I said, I'm going to go ride the bike at the gym. And then I said, I'm going to listen to, one of these positive podcasts. In my mind, I thought, because that'll inspire me. And I started listening. I go, this isn't going to inspire me. And I started thinking, I got to figure out what I need. And I said, Daryl, no, you got to let it go. Totally let it go. And you will be shown. And I did the thing, just did my thing at the gym, got home, ate, and wouldn't you know it, totally relaxed. Bam. Exactly. I could not believe it. I was thrilled. I was like, how does this happen? This is exactly the missing link to complete this little segment of the book. So finally the first draft is done. I popped that out. So, I highly recommend this. I know Steve would recommend this technique because it's not just a gimmick, what we're sharing with you today. This really is what the mystics have used. It really is taking hold of these abstract notions of prayer and belief and faith
Faith.
and using it to get demonstrations. And demonstrations is just a word for, it's a scientific word or results, you can call it, for answered prayer. So, Stephen, before we wrap up, do you have anything else you want to share?
Uh, I realized that you asked me a question about following the breadcrumbs, and I don't know if I really answered your question or if I deflected it. I'm sorry, but I wanted to get back to the breadcrumbs really quick
Yes.
because I shared about how I was doing improv at that school in Burbank. But then after, and you said, "Did you have fun the whole time?" I said yes, but then I realized near the end of it I wasn't, and that's why I stopped going there. And I made a decision of I'm not going to go here anymore. And then guess what? Another opportunity gets presented. My actual teacher invites me to his improv class where he goes and trains. So then I go to that one for, I don't know, 7 months. Same thing happens again. I grow, I'm having fun until it's not fun anymore. Then
Well,
I decide I'm going to
wait.
stop going.
I think we should clarify because I don't want people to get the wrong impression of what you're trying to say. Because I know, because you told
Okay.
me, I know the real situation. It's not just about not having fun. It's
Yeah.
you kind of outgrew. I mean, we don't stay in kindergarten forever. So
Okay. Yes.
you outgrew the first improv and you did it. I mean, you didn't just go, I don't like it anymore, I'm leaving. Because I don't want to give the wrong
Exactly.
impression. And that's what it's
Thank
starting to
you. Thank
sound
you.
like.
But
And then
I'm
I
just
didn't
trying to
like
grush,
this place.
grush
No,
some stories.
I think what
Yes.
I think the words that you're trying to use is, I outgrew the group. I mean, 2 years is a long time, and there's nothing wrong with, you could tell it's time to grow more. Not time, it's not saying I'm better than this place, saying I got to grow more and I'm not growing anymore here. I've outgrown it. There's nothing, I have nothing against it. Matter of fact, you continue to recommend people to go there. So I don't want people to
Yes,
just
all
think
the
it's an
time.
it's an unfun place that you don't like anymore. It's just you outgrew that group. Then, just to clarify for the listeners, the teacher at that group contacts you after you left that group, reaches out to you unsolicited and invites you to join him as a fellow student in a more challenging group because that's where he attends. And that's the best compliment ever for the teacher to say, here's where I go to school. I think you should be a student here with me because he was giving you reassurance that you outgrew where you had been.
Yes, exactly. But the whole time I am I am doing the acting.
Right.
I'm actively participating in putting forth the effort to continue to do what I love without getting paid for it because it's fun and I love to do it. So then after that, I outgrew that one. That next improv school. And I said no to that. And instead of trying to figure out how am I gonna do I gotta look for another school to join? Do I gotta take another class? I just let it go. Just like you were saying, just gotta let it go instead of trying to figure out what's the next step. The next step is gonna be obvious. And that's another thing too, is in the morning and at night and throughout the day when it pops in my mind, like you said, you don't make it a regimented, you got to do it twice a day for 15 minutes each. No, it's like it's going to become a natural thing where it's like you catch yourself in wanting to figure it out and like pulling up Google and starting to type in, and it feels like I got to make it happen. And you got to I had to catch myself and go, no, this is feel bad. God is going to have it come about in my life. It's going to be obvious. And then I get invited through a listener and a guest, Krista McAvina, to be Santa Claus at one of their events. She works or used to work for a company called the Art of Elysium, a volunteer organization. And so they needed a Santa Claus for their Cedar Sinai on Children's Oncology Unit, their yearly party, their holiday party. And they needed a Santa, so she reached out to me, can you do Santa? I've never done Santa, but I said I could try. And because of my improv experience, I was ready to step up to the plate. And so then that led to me volunteering with the Art of Elysium, again, for free, getting to do what I love, teaching. Then they have this class where volunteers go in and actually facilitate an improv class at senior centers. And so that was a lot of fun. And it kept me doing what I love, moving forward until the next thing.
Well, and then the next thing just come up.
Yes, it did. Sorry, it looked like you had something to say. I didn't want to keep talking. But the next thing is that the first improv teacher reached out to me recently, and he's teaching his own class. So I went there yesterday, and I ended up having nobody showed up to the class because he's just starting it on his own. I ended up getting a one-on-one session improv class with him, which was so much fun. We got to catch up, and he got to let me know that the current classes right now are at an elevated level, and he thinks I would fit right in. And he invited me to come check out the class tomorrow for free,
Which is today.
which is tomorrow.
Okay, so it's for Sunday.
It's Sunday. Yeah, for Sunday. So this is like the next thing because unfortunately, the Art of Elysium, the volunteer, has been put on hold volunteering. So it's really incredible how these little breadcrumbs, they come at the perfect time. I just keep doing it.
And one door closes, another one opens.
Yes.
You don't even have to try to bang on doors anymore.
Yep.
You know what's amazing? I forgot to press record.
What does that mean?
It means we just had fun doing the show for our YouTube viewers. Hopefully. Hopefully. So, do you have anything else you want to add?
No. Well, I guess the reason why I slowed down is because I saw you writing in red, and I'm like, uh-oh, what is this? That's why I kind of lost my train of thought. But hey, nothing happens by mistake. This is funny.
Well, I'll tell you what, I have a little story here about you. If you want to hear it, I got it
Yeah.
from TMC. They fax these to me whenever we have a guest. They fax this. Yeah. TMZ will only send stuff to Funniest Thing via fax. I have no idea why. That's how they used to share the breakdowns in the old days to get acting work, and the TMZ swears by it. So they heard you were going to be a guest. They faxed this over to Middle School Studios. You'll have to tell me if this is true. I can't confirm or deny, but it says Stephen Tom Thorpe was greeting folks at the stage door after a theatrical performance. A woman said, "Mr. Thorpe, that was a good performance." Stephen replied, "Oh, I have to give the credit to God. It wasn't that good," she said. Yeah, if you didn't
That's
get that
good.
joke, folks, and if this does end up getting on the audio app, uh, you'll get the end. You'll get the punchline by the time you get to your next exit, I'm sure. It's as bad as most all our jokes. And then we do have a little song here, "Me, Me, Me, Me," to sing us out. I'm going to try to let everyone know. Thanks again for being for tuning in to Funniest Thing with Daryl and Ed. You can catch us on YouTube or on all the audio apps. You can also go to darylanded.com to find everything we do. And with that, I'm going to try this one solo without Ed. It's going to be rough, folks. It's going to be rough. Well, this is going to hurt you more than it does me. Let's just say that. You may or may not recognize this tune by my singing, or you might know it. It was a beautiful day. The sun beat down. I had the radio on. I was driving. Trees went by. Me and Dell were singing. Little runaway. I was flying. Yeah, running down a dream. Thought that I knew would come to me. Working on a mystery. Going wherever it leads. I'm running down a dream. And that's using your imagination, folks. That was by, who is that by, Steve?
Tom Petty.
Yes. All right. Thanks again. Thanks for being. Thanks. We'll see you next time.